I don't mind being the second banana, but he's asking me to speak first. And I was raised by a widowed mom, and my father died when I was 4 years old. And we always got so much help from our parish in Brooklyn, New York, St. Teresa's. And I never really realized until a number of years ago how kind they were to our family because of my mother not being able to work with young children. And my mother just told me this maybe about 10 years before she passed away. And for that, I am so grateful. And I think in those days it was called Catholic Charities, or it might have been called St. Teresa's Parish, resources. But tonight I got the feeling of that same wonderful feeling growing up, that I knew something was helping us, or somebody was helping us. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let me give me this. Give me that, though.
Oh, okay.
This is, I understand you have to win this 3 years in a row to get permanent possession. Is it, It looks like what they take the collection in, right? Huh? Father Mayo, I know you. Huh? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, first of all, my attire, shirt, tie, jacket, the pants. All right, by the way, 2 pair of pants come with this jacket. Shoes, socks, and underwear were provided by Mr. Mack. So, now, excuse me a minute. Never miss a photo op. Now, by the way, Mr. Mack told me that you will be paying a little bit more than I did for this outfit, because after all, I'm giving him a free shot here, you know what I mean? And, he's going after the Catholic business this year. He's already got the missionaries sewed up, you know what I mean? They're just, no matter where you go in the world, they all got a Mr. Mack suit on, a white shirt, and I want to thank the McCarthys. I didn't know what to expect coming here to Mormon country, the land of Zion, Irish, Catholic, Democrat. Hey, don't blame me. I voted for Sam. You got what you deserved. But I went to Catholic grammar school and Catholic university and did my graduate work at Catholic universities. But I had to come here, Bishop, to find the proof of God. Believe it or not. And I'd like to share this with you, if I may. We've got great universities here, certainly Brigham Young University in Provo. But it wasn't there that I found the proof of God. Not by any means. It was in the Tribune. Day after day. You get the Tribune, all right, and turn to the obituary page. People in Utah are dying in alphabetical order. Bishop, there's got to be a God. You figure the paperwork must be unbelievable, But when you arrive, when this happens to you. Barbara and I were in the airport recently, and we were leaving on a trip when a young couple came by us and said, "Excuse me, Coach, but would you be good enough to have your picture taken with our newborn infant?" And of course, as you know here, this is the only community, they will come to a double header with a baby that was born yesterday, all right? And that's the way it is, all right? So what happens is, I said, certainly, I'd be happy, but we were, I was looking at my watch because we were running a little bit late to get to our plane. And they handed me the baby, and of course I was afraid it was going to pee on me, and and I'd smell all the way to Hawaii. But anyway, I held it out, and they took a picture. And then the fellow said, would you mind if my wife got in a picture with you and the baby? And Barbara said, well, give me the camera, and I'll take a picture of the whole family. So it's alive. It's a holy dish. That might have been a miracle. You ever thought of that, Father, huh? Beginning of a miracle, huh? Wait till I die, though. So anyway, Barbara took the picture of me holding the baby, the wife on one side, the husband on the other. And as we're walking away, they go, thanks, Lavelle. So Barbara says, go back and tell him you're not Lavelle. I said, like hell I will. I want them to open up those pictures at the Ward House and say, we got a picture of little Alex, all right, with the great coach, and the Coach Lavelle Edwards. And then the people will look and go, that's not Lavelle. That's the devil. True story, all right? Unbelievable. If I might, I'd like to say this, that there are many, many people out here in this audience, the people that live in this community, who deserve this award much more than Barbara and I. And, it's so gratifying to have an award like this. And I guarantee you this will take a very, very important part of our lives and an important part of our home. But you know what? I don't think we deserve it. Because Barbara and I, all our married lives, as long as I've known Barbara, which goes on 57 years, 58 years coming up, all right? She stands next to Mother Teresa as one of the great Catholics that ever lived. Is that we just tried to do the right thing. We were blessed, as Mr. Mack would say. Our table was full. We had a lot of privileges, good health, good friends, good jobs. And why wouldn't we try to share those? Share not only our skills, but our knowledge, and in any way help those that might be less fortunate than ourselves. I don't understand it, all right, that there used to be great passion in this country. Maybe we forgot that all of us, I don't know if there are any Native Americans here, are they? Are there? Can you put up your hand, show who you are? Oh, the rest of us are immigrants, huh? We're the children of immigrants. We're so fortunate to be part of this wonderful, wonderful country that offers us not only great scenery, but so much opportunity and the chances to live a wonderful and healthy life, and to be able to say, boy, are we proud that we are Americans. Well, where has that gone? Are we losing it through the greed, or are children starting to get worried about service? By the way, I think it's a wonderful thing, all right, that the LDS Church sends out these young missionaries. Because not only do they spread the word, but they grow themselves. All right? And that is so important. I personally would like to see us move towards universal military training like many other countries would do, so that people would feel, our youngsters would feel some sense of responsibility, some sense of service to this country. And so, as I grew up, I was very fortunate to have a wonderful dad, second generation Irish. He never had much money, but he had his religion. He knew about service to others, and he preached, if you want to get ahead, that each generation has to study a little bit harder and work a little bit harder. Barbara's mother and father died when she was 4. My mother died on the operating table when I was born. So I never had a mother. I had a father who worked on the docks, had a 6th grade education, but he had character. He was a very special man. And, he used to give us a nickel for the collection, Father, on Sunday, and then he watched us put it in the basket. And he taught us about how great this country was and how lucky we were to live here rather than in Ireland. Ireland's a great place to visit, but not necessarily a great place to be born and have to live the rest of your life. And so, we grew up very proud of who we were. And we had heroes. President Roosevelt was one of our heroes who told us we had nothing to fear but fear itself. And I asked my dad about that once, and he said, well, if you have your religion, all right, and you have an education, there's no reason why you should ever fear anything. The worst thing that can possibly happen to you is that you can die. And in a way, you can look at that and say, maybe that's not always bad, you see. So don't be afraid to serve and to help others. And that's what he seemed to do in what little spare time that he had. I think of Churchill, was another one of my heroes, who said that, when the bombings of London, people suggested that maybe they move take the women and children off the island on hospital ships and take them to Australia and America and what have you. Churchill said, no, the women and children will stay. And when the German horde comes across the channel, we'll be there to meet them together. And people said, yes, but the women and children are going to be killed. And he said, yes. He said, democracy and freedom is expensive. We have to learn that. There has to be a price to pay. Many of us out here have been gifted. Share that gift. Don't be afraid to give, to help. All right? Because you never know when it may become your turn in which survival will become very expensive. I think of Brian Piccolo, who was dying of cancer. And when the owner of the Chicago Bears came to him and said, Brian, take your family and travel around the world and the Chicago Bears will pay for it. But Brian loved his job so much and had so much faith in his God that he wasn't going to die of cancer that he said, I'll be at practice tomorrow. You can't quit, it's a league rule. And he died playing football, something that he loved to do. And I often ask, how many people here, if they knew they were going to die a year from now, would go to work tomorrow? If the answer is no, then you've got the wrong job. All right? You want to be like Brian Piccolo, and don't be afraid of dying, and don't be afraid of working until you die. It's tough. It's tough to have that kind of strength. Mother Teresa, that little woman, that little giant who faced, poverty and sickness and generals and then everybody, jealousy and greed. And yet she tells us, if we don't love our work, if we don't love what we do, if we don't love this church of ours, then we are slaves. Then we are slaves. That's pretty important. And another hero of mine, and it's not just because I'm from Brooklyn, was Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson, of course, went to college, was good in football, basketball, and baseball, and ran track. His brother was one of the runners who went to Germany, all right, in the 36 Olympics. Max Robinson was a great runner. And Jackie Robinson served in the Army as an officer during the war, and when he came home, was regulated to be a second-class citizen, that he had to play in the Negro Leagues. Well, we know the story. Eventually, Branch Rickey had the courage to bring him into the Major League Baseball. When they voted, all right, for the for the Major League owners, and there was only 16 teams then. They met in the Waldorf Astoria. They actually voted to see whether Jackie Robinson could be signed by the Dodgers. The vote was 15-1 against it. 15-1. Now, this is in America, all right? And this is not that long ago. We're talking about the early 40s, late 40s, 44, 45, all right? And Happy Chandler, a Southerner, a politician, a man that had been governor of Kentucky, all right, was now the commissioner. And he stood up, and in that one moment of chance to have greatness, he said, this man served in the Army. This is an American hero. He said, I am outvoting all the teams. He had the right to do that as commissioner. He said, the Dodgers have the right to sign Jackie Robinson. Well, the rest became history. He was a great player, a great individual. Walked with Martin Luther King after his career was over. He didn't take advantage that he could have with his baseball background. But instead, he gave to others. And on his tombstone are the most important words that I have ever heard. All right? The most important words. I've read the Bible. I haven't read the Koran. Maybe someday. Who knows? The Book of Mormon. Occasionally when I stay in a Marriott. I'm just kidding. Where are they? But I've never heard any words like this. On his tombstone it says, a life is only as important as the impact it has on other lives. Jackie Robinson. Tell me, is there anything more important than that? A life is only as important as the impact it has on other lives. And if we all lived that way, wow, this great country would even be greater and would influence the whole world. And it still may come. I believe in this country, and I believe in the people that really in the end will be the decision makers. And many of them are sitting right out here in this audience now. Heroes. And my last hero, if I may just take another 2 minutes, was a young lady that in her 60s, already with a college degree in business, came to me and said, I'm going back to school. I'm going to go work at the University of Utah. And she got a job working in the office of the counseling service for the university. Big school. She wanted to keep busy because her husband was away. She had raised the children while he was working with other people's children. She got a nice job there. She liked it. She enjoyed it. And one day she came to me and she said, I am going back to school. She said, I've been working in the counseling center, and I think I can do that. Well, you know, she's in her early 60s now, and this is going to be a great inconvenience to me, all right? She's going to go to school. What am I going to do, you know? Oh, her vacations and running around and going. So anyway, she went back to school. It took her 4 years. Now, she didn't have to take some of the core subjects that she did originally, the English and history and things like that, but she did. It took her 4 years, then 3,000 hours of service so that she could become a person to counsel, all right, middle-aged women who have drug and alcohol problems. Now, we don't have that problem here in Utah, do we? Huh? Well, we certainly do. And so for the next, I won't say how many years, she has done that. She has gone out and she has worked with these young women, these middle-aged women mostly, though some young women, who have all sorts of problems. She never took a dime, never got paid, worked for the Salvation Army once to get her clients and work with these people. And I can't imagine how many lives she has saved. It's tough. People on drugs and alcohol, they're hard to save. But she never gives up, and she keeps working at it. And I stand here humbly because whatever I have done and whatever credit people think I should get is very shallow and very faded. compared to my wonderful bride, Barbara Layden. I know I've taken a lot of your time, but there was 2 or 3 jokes in there that you can use. And the first time you do, I would appreciate if you gave me credit. And then from that point on, you can always say, as I've always said. Now, one more word. Because he's a very quiet man, is our bishop, Bishop Wester. I mean that. You don't read a lot about him. He's not flashy. He's not in the newspapers every day. You don't read a lot about it. You don't hear a lot about him. But as I've traveled around this state, and one of the things we deal with is the great immigration, what people call it the immigration problem. I always think of it this way, that maybe someday some Mexicans may come in here and they may have to do the jobs we don't, the loading of the trucks or the cutting of the grass or the trimming of the weeds and doing the hot work. But their children, one of them, may be the person who goes to the university and cures cancer. All right? And that's what happened to us as the Polish came here and the Irish and the Jewish people and the Greeks, and they all brought something with them. The Italians who, have given us so much in the word of our intellects and our art and music and everything else. And these people across the border, Bishop, as you know, will owe you great gratitude. Because we got room for them. I'll pay a little more in my taxes. I'll pay a little more in my health care. If someone comes to my door and knocks on my door and says, I don't have food, I don't have water, I don't have an education for my children, I don't slam the door in their face. I open it up and say what Jesus would say, welcome in. God bless you all, and thank you so much.